on here.
I know. I noticed that. We'll have to spark something up this weekend on that. So hopefully we'll do it. But we are coming on the air here. All right. We're talking the success of the Kingsmen, the failure of Ninjago, what the debut for Star Trek Discovery does for CBS. Do you want to see Han Solo's Kessel Run? We recap week 3. We recap week 3 in the NFL, and does anyone care anymore about Call of Duty? And does anyone care anymore? And does anyone care anymore about Call of Duty? As we once again delve into the pop culture cosmos. And does anyone care about Call of Duty? All this and more as we once again delve into the pop culture cosmos. And we're back with another edition of the #1 show on the podcast radio network. It is the Pop Culture Cosmos. My name is Gerald Glassford from Pop Culture Cosmos and Game Source. Sounding a little bit hoarse. I don't know what is, but all right, we'll run with it. We truly thank you for being we truly thank you for being part of the broadcast here today. And of course, always at my side, he is the man, the myth, the legend behind Humanica Media. He is, well, the Templar giant himself of Humanica Media. It's Josh Peterson. What's up, my friend?
What up, man? Yeah, the Templar reference. Yeah, it's ironic because Assassin's Creed's coming out. So,
well, I just saw, I'm trying to reach out for different things. So you are the Templar leader, my friend. The Templar leader of Humanica Media.
I feel like if you were to call me Illuminati, more kids would listen to this podcast because they seem to be obsessed with that these days.
Okay, the Templar Illuminati of Humanica Media.
There we go. Josh Peterson. Skyrocketed by at least 10.
There you go. Indeed. Well, again, we truly appreciate you being here and listening in. We want to make sure that everybody knows out there that we've got a great episode indeed. We've got Rob McCallum on deck talking Han Solo. We've got week 3 in the NFL with Tyler Baker from the Fantasy Football Pater podcast. And I just realized again, as of Misco, I forgot indeed. Gonna have to redo that intro. And we've also got a great guest here today coming on the air. Indeed, it's going to be a great time indeed, because we have Ben Arnaud. That's Ben Arnaud from Smoking Hot Confessions podcast. I tell you what, and if you are hungry, I'll tell you what, we may want to be able to get something to eat first, because it's going to be a great time indeed as I talk with Ben about his life as a competition barbecue specialist and grill master. And also we talk about the difference between cooking pork ribs and beef ribs. Indeed. It was just a great time. And I had to make sure, I'll tell you what, I was getting hungry as we were having the conversation. Oh my goodness, indeed. But it's going to be a great podcast for you. We also got another great song from our good friend Chad and Hyperschmidt. But first, Josh, another great weekend at the box office. This time it was Kingsman coming out on top with pretty much as expected $39-40 million at the domestic box office this weekend. It coming pretty close behind at another 30. But I want to ask real quick your thoughts on Ninjago, which didn't meet expectations by quite a bit, as it was expected to do around $30 million, but unfortunately fell quite a bit short at around 20. What are your thoughts on why Ninjago, the Lego Ninjago movie, did not meet up to expectations at the box office this weekend?
It's because, like I was saying on the Pop Culture Cosmos podcast, that this is due mostly to the fact that, so the Lego movie was, it reached out to all sorts of people, families, kids, even, adults like us. We would go see the movie because it had a lot of subtle adult references in it. Lego Batman, that's kind of pushing more into a subsect of Lego collectors, Lego fans, Lego people like the Lego shows. But with Ninjago, you're going even further into that that subsect of Lego fans. You have the show on Netflix or wherever kids watch it these days, and I don't think that it's it's more kid oriented than anything else. I know with the voice actors and some of the jokes they throw in, they're trying to reach out to families. They're have adults bring their kids, but I don't think that it's a movie that adults really want to bring their kids to see. Not in like the vein of a DreamWorks film like Boss Baby or something like that has stuff that's meant for adults as well as kids. I think that the Ninjago is more a kid movie. I'm curious to see how the numbers will do when it hits DVD and Blu-ray. Maybe there'll be more parents buying it for their kids and they'll watch it then. But I just think that Lego should stick to their main squeeze, which is the Lego movies, and they wouldn't have to worry about these declining box office numbers.
I agree with you on that, but also as well, I think the timing of it coming out in the middle of, coming out in late September also has something to do with it, because kids are in school, and even though it was, the weekend and whatnot, but parents are trying to catch up, families are trying to catch up with everything that went on during the week and whatnot. And not a lot of time is always spent for the families as a whole on going to see family movies. So we'll have to wait and see if that, keeps, as a trend down the line for the Lego Ninjago movie. Like you said, hopefully it will get a better life on DVD and Blu-ray, but it does bode a little bit of more of a question when the Lego Movie 2 inevitably hits at some point down the road. Well, also going on this weekend, it's been a very, very busy weekend with all the stuff that we are going to talk about here, including Week 3 in the NFL and all this other great stuff that's going on, TV premieres right and left. But one TV premiere that has us talking is Star Trek Discovery, which premiered on CBS and CBS All Access this weekend. And obviously, everybody is now excited again because there's a Star Trek TV show and TV series that's now back on the air. I ask you, Josh, I got a chance to see the first episode myself, and I have some opinions on it. So I want to hear your thoughts first on what Star Trek Discovery will do for the CBS All Access platform, since the first episode is only being premiered once on CBS Broadcasting Network.
I can make vague assumptions about this. I never really got into Star Trek beyond the J.J. Abrams Paramount flicks, but it's weird because there was a golden era of space travel TV shows, and now it's just not the best time for it. Because I was reading something and the producers are talking about how TV is really hard now, especially for a show like Star Trek, and I think that's because it's even if you watch sci-fi, you have shows like Defiance and the 100, and it's not it's slowly losing viewership. People are losing interest in it. And it's because we have these big epic sci-fi shows now, like Westworld, or even, you want to go into, magic like Game of Thrones. We have these big epic shows now, and it's just not meeting the bar of, a normal, a nostalgia show like Star Trek. So it'll be interesting. I applaud the writers if they can keep the show going for a while. So we'll just have to see, and I'm really curious too about the Orville and how that's doing. But I defer to you on Star Trek.
Well, I'll tell you what. First off, I'm glad you mentioned the Orville, because even though the numbers have still declined a little bit, they don't get the NFL football lead in on Sunday nights because they've been transferred over to Thursdays. But they're still getting a very good 18 to 49 share, as our friends at the TV Ratings Guide would say. Still about 2-3 million people tuning in to the actual Orville. So the Orville episodes. So that's definitely a good sign for them, holding over some audience, and hopefully they'll be able to retain that. I know the Podcast Radio Network is excited for the future for the Orville, as I know that they're adding those podcasts in there, and hopefully we'll find out more information on that as well. But I want to make sure that everybody out there knows that so far Star Trek Discovery, from what I've seen and what from most of the other people that are out there that are reviewing it, are also giving it pretty good marks so far. as far as if you've checked out the first episode or two, whatnot. I think it's a good way to get people intrigued into CBS All Access. I don't know if it's going to be the be all end all to get them in, but still, it's a great start. I would love to actually have it on CBS Broadcasting Network. I would be more inclined to go ahead and actually commit to the series. Do I want to commit $10, another $10 a month for another network? I'm not sure if that'll do it, even if it's a great Star Trek show or a Star Trek series or whatnot. I do enjoy the Star Trek universe. I'm not a diehard fan of Trekkie per se, but I do enjoy quite a bit of the Star Trek universe that's been out there. So I would love to get my chance to see more of the Star Trek Discovery series. I may have to buckle under. We'll have to wait and see. But time will tell for a lot of people if they will commit to it. I know the numbers will come in probably very strong because it's coming after 60 Minutes in the NFL on Sunday nights for this one-time premiere. So I'm hoping that they will maybe change their minds and put it back on the broadcast network after it's done its run on CBS All Access, maybe sometimes in the summer. That would be great, but we'll have to wait and see. I'd like to see more from that universe, but am I willing to spend $10 a month on it? I'm going to have to say no, but I'm definitely open to suggestions if maybe they because they're not doing it the new way that a lot of these networks are doing it now, where they put out his series 3 or 4 episode block or the entire episodes block for the season and just saying have at it and binge watch. No, they're basically put out the first 2 episodes and then they're going to be putting one out on a weekly fashion for quite some time. So I don't know. I'm intrigued, but it's still not enough to make me commit to actually getting the CBS All Access package. I know there's not enough CBS programming that I enjoy, that I like behind it. Maybe my wife will disagree with me on that, but as of now, I don't think I'm going to commit to it either. What are your thoughts on Star Trek Discovery? Do you like the series? Have you watched the episode or two? Share us your thoughts. And also, while you're at it, let us know if it's something that you will commit to CBS All Access in the future, because we'd love to hear if you're interested in getting another network, because there's Hulu and Netflix and, so many other networks on the sun that all want $10 a piece and $14, $15 a piece and whatnot. Is it really worth getting another subscription to another television service? Share us your thoughts, popculturecosmos@yahoo.com. Also as well, Pop Culture Cosmos, Humanican Media, and Game Source on Facebook and Twitter as well. And I'll tell you what, it's going to be another great episode indeed. Like I said, we've got Ben Arnault from the Smoking Hot Confessions podcast. He's going to be by to tell us about which is better, pork ribs or beef ribs. He's going to tell you which one is better for cooking and whatnot. And also as well, he's going to tell us his life about what you can do yourself to become a competition barbecue griller. And then also we've got Rob McCallum on deck. He's got a little bit to vent off when it comes to the Han Solo film. Tyler Baker is also back from the Fantasy Football Podcast, giving us a recap of week 3 in the NFL for fantasy football owners. It's just got a great show indeed. And then also Josh and I will be back to share our thoughts on the Call of Duty series and where it stands right now, because it's kind of in a funky place right now. So we'll have to, you'll have to wait to check out our thoughts on that indeed. But it's a great show we've got lined up for you, but it all starts right here with Hyperschmidt, our good friend Chad. Check out all of his work on YouTube. Check out all of his great songs on YouTube. But for right now, this is Chad Smith and Hyperschmidt, and this is, forgot which song I'm going to choose. Let's go choose. Okay. And this is After All. And this is the Pop Culture Cosmos. Just had to check. And we're back with the Pop Culture Cosmos show. This is Gerald Glassford from Pop Culture Cosmos and Game Source. We truly appreciate you being part of the broadcast here today. And I'll tell you what, again, if you truly like what we're serving out right here at the Pop Culture Cosmos, you can always check out our show, the Pop Culture Cosmos show, and then also as well the PCC Multiverse, which is now available again, on the Podcast Radio Network every Friday night, 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific. Or if you just check out the Pop Culture Cosmos channel, it's always available to download on Apple Podcasts, TuneIn, Ace Podcast Network, Overcast.fm, Player.fm, Google Play, Stitcher Radio, Podcast.com, Mixcloud, the ESO Network, the Tangent Bound Network, the Gunny Geek Network, Cast Crunch, Social Podcasts, and popculturecosmos.wordpress.com. Josh, I know you got a lot of great things going down this week on Humanica Media. Check out all the great stuff on Humanica Media's channels, including YouTube, including Podbean, Apple Podcasts, and so many other channels, podcast.com, and so many other channels. Josh, what's coming this week from the great things at your site known as Humanica Media?
There is, tomorrow actually, a new episode of What About This is coming at you. One of the guys is leaving, so we have a special goodbye episode for him. And there should be a new interview from the guys at Super BS sometime this week, as well as a new episode of Inside Sports and the usual Attack of the Humankind on Tuesday nights. So check it out.
Definitely indeed. That's 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific on the Podcast Radio Network. And we just appreciate all of the listeners on that network as well. You've made all of our 3 shows in the top 10 rated as far as the Podcast Radio Network ratings are concerned. And it couldn't do it without your listening and your appreciation of what we do. So thank you so much again. Well, we want to again thank Ben Arnault from the Smoking Hot Confessions podcast. We also want to thank Tyler Baker from the Fantasy Football Pater podcast, and of course our good friend Rob McCallum from Rob McCallum Films. Check out all the great things that he's doing at robmccallumfilms.com, all of his projects that are coming out, or Rob McCallum Films on Facebook, and then also all the great things he's doing with Tiny Titan Games. Check out what they're doing at tinytitanstudios.com, and also check out all the great things he's doing at Tiny Titan Studios, including Dash Quest, and of course, for $9.99 on Steam, and also as well free to play on mobile, it's the great game Tiny Rails. Just definitely is awesome to have Rob as part of the podcast as well. So before we head on out, Josh, I want to ask you real quick. We did a fall gaming preview recently, if you remember, and I wanted to share thoughts with you. I think we covered a lot of ground there on games that we were interested in. Also, Rob and just shared his thoughts on some great games that he was interested in as well. But none of us, at any point in time, covered a game that's coming out very soon here within the next couple months or so during the holiday season. It's Call of Duty's latest yearly entry, but they're going to go back to where they're very familiar, and they're going back to World War II as Call of Duty WW2 comes out to consoles and PC later this year. So I ask you, I know you're not the greatest fan in the world of Call of Duty, but this didn't seem to connect as far as with any one of us on why Call of Duty, it didn't seem to connect with any of us at all as far as a major game to look forward to this holiday season. Why do you think that is? And do you think Call of Duty has more than lost its edge as a premier title in the gaming world?
So we were at E3, me and you, and we saw Call of Duty. looked okay. It wasn't anything that that's worth getting super stoked about. It looks okay. It looks fun, but I think that there's so many better games coming out this holiday season that Call of Duty, as far as my interest in the game goes, is kind of taking a way back seat to everything else. So you have new Assassin's Creed, new Mario, new Gran Turismo, Forza. Hoping to see Sea of Thieves, but probably won't see it this holiday season. But there's still, you got South Park. There's so many great games coming out that, Call of Duty is, while I do eventually want to play it, it's not interesting enough for me to like even say I'm excited about it right now, because I'm more excited about everything else coming out.
Well, I tell you what, it's very, very troubling indeed. Well, I'll tell you what, is my printer now wants to talk. Gotta love Lexmark. This should go great on the blooper trail. On the blooper reel, excuse me. See, I didn't even say that. I got so messed up. Thanks, Lexmark. Anyways, I just tell you what, right now, it's definitely a very telling sign indeed if Call of Duty is not near or at the top. If it's not near or at the top of your list as far as games to talk about this holiday season. Yes, I think there's always a built-in audience there. There was a built-in audience for Madden. And after the great month that Madden has, we were kind of questioning it before as far as it still being a AAA franchise, but it did have a great month of August, and actually so good that it just landed itself as far as so far one of the top best-selling games of 2017. So that's definitely a feather in their cap. Can Call of Duty actually go ahead and follow in Madden's footsteps and do something similar? I still think they can. I think there's a built-in audience for that. I think it's still something very interesting with people that are out there, regular gamers, casual gamers and whatnot. But I think the hardcore audience, the I don't want to say the esports audience or whatnot, they've kind of moved on to different things. Overwatch is now very big, and there's so many other games that are out there that are, well, PUBG, obviously PUBG is very, very hot right now. So I think there's a lot of other games that are taking away attention from a game like Call of Duty. So it shrinks that player base just a little bit more. And with Battlefront 2 also coming out around that time, that makes things even more interesting from a first-person shooter's perspective as well. So I don't know. It will be still hitting at or near the top of the charts when it comes out, and will still do, I believe, overall 10+ million. But the days of Call of Duty dominating the airspace left and right, I think those days, at least for now, are gone. What do you think, Josh, about that? Do you think it's there's still a place in the heart as far as with many gamers for Call of Duty, or do you think that, like myself, it's fading just a little bit from the eyes of gamers and, well, actually, casual players alike?
I don't know. I think people are tired of it. It's been out for so long, and people even now, like, people are going, like, when Ghost came out, people played it for a bit, and like a lot of people just keep going back to either Black Ops or Modern Warfare. So I don't think that pushing a new game out every year is going to, even if they revamp it by trying to go back to World War II, I don't think that it's going to be a game changer of any kind. It's just another entry in a blown out franchise, and we'll have to wait and see like what happens with it. It looks okay. It looks cool. It's just I'm not excited about playing it, and I think that if they really want to change our minds about something, they need to show us something that we haven't seen, or bring the demand back for the game.
Well, do you think actually going back to World War II was a good move, or do you see it as something that they're just copycatting what EA did with its successful return to an older era when it returned to World War I, and it actually sold very well for the company this past year?
Yeah, and then that's a cool decision, and I know they clearly have been paying attention to what the fans want, because like you and I, we played Call of Duty 2, Call of Duty 1. We obviously, have a soft spot in our hearts for those games, and they've been paying attention to what, people like us have been saying, and even gamers are saying, we're tired of the futuristic setting, we're tired of the Black Ops type thing. Bring us back to what made the franchise so good. And I think that this is a good move on their part, but it's just a bad year to be putting it out because there's so many other things to be excited about. And, maybe the game will be good. I'm sure it'll rake up some 8s, maybe 9s, but, whether or not it's good has nothing to do with how much it's going to sell in its first few months, just because it's competing with some big players. So,
well, I know people are probably just going to get it. Mom or dad or grandpa or grandma are just going to get it because, hey, it's the latest Call of Duty. That's what they're told to get, and that's what they're probably already in tune to get. But those hardcore players that are already playing big time on PUBG and Overwatch, definitely is. I think those.
That's another problem too.
Yeah.
And yeah, PUBG is like that's a big thing, especially when it comes to Xbox. Like nobody's gonna want to play Call of Duty if that comes to Xbox. It's a bad time to be putting it out. Yeah, and we have a bunch of Tom Clancy games, and it's like you're clinging to a dying market. I do think that it would be a great idea to put this new Call of Duty on the Nintendo Switch. That could be fun, but I don't see it selling the big amounts that Activision is probably hoping it will.
Well, it goes back to what we were talking about with Madden, because as you see, their Madden, if it's still a name in this gaming industry, it's still by its name will still sell quite a bit. In fact, like I said, Madden did so well overall in the month of August, its first time out, that it's now firmly entrenched in the top 10 in sales at this point in time overall for the entire year. I mean, but still, when it comes right down to it, Call of Duty, I think maybe another year should have gone by before they went back to it. I think if they wanted to deal, or maybe they should have just come back to modern warfare instead of, if they wanted to get away from the futuristic warfare, which obviously they've gotten word and by sales as well that players were kind of not very happy with them going futuristic, then kind of migrated back to maybe the modern audience before, or modern platform, before you go to something that looks like it's a copy of what Electronic Arts was doing when it went to World War I last year. So it's definitely a wait and see on it. But I think the hardcore gamer, as far as Call of Duty being in their palette, as far as what they would need to play or what they want to play on a regular basis, those days are going to be numbered, because there's Destiny 2 out there as well, taking a lot of the market space that just came out. So with Overwatch, Destiny 2, and also PUBG really, really raking in the players, whatnot, it's going to be hard for anything else to crack the mustard right now. I see Battlefront 2 doing it because I see some big things as far as improvement in the overall enjoyment of that game. I don't think the player base will die out as fast as it did with the original Battlefront. So we'll have to wait and see what's being offered with Call of Duty outside of just a standard game. Hopefully it's a great campaign, and hopefully as well zombies and a lot of great things will be added as well that'll make Call of Duty really fun to play again indeed. What are your thoughts on the Call of Duty series? Do you still have a love and an affinity to play Call of Duty in the newest iteration year after year? Did you agree with the decision to go back to World War II so soon after Electronic Arts did something similar? Share us your thoughts, popculturecosmos@yahoo.com. Also as well, Pop Culture Cosmos, Game Source, and also as well, Humanican Media on Facebook and Twitter. So Josh, any last thoughts on the way out? It's going to be an interesting week because we got a lot of stuff that's still debuting on television, plus also as well at the end of the week. Oh, excited. Blade Runner 2049.
It's funny you mentioned that because I was talking to my dad about it, and my dad is like, that's his era of film. He grew up in the days of American Graffiti and Blade Runner, and he was like, This is the first time that a sci-fi movie has been coming out, and he's told me, I want to go see that. So we're going to go see that. And I'm like, hey, that's fine, because none of my friends are smart enough to even understand what's going on in Blade Runner. So it all works out.
Well, what interests me, if somebody actually, if I actually thought it over again about what I needed to do my thesis on, I probably would have done an extensive research at the era of films between 1980 and 1983, because there's so many iconic films from that point of time, and Blade Runner is definitely one of those films. But we'll talk about that more in this Friday's episode of the PCC Multiverse. Plus, we've got Week 4 in the NFL. We're going to preview it with our good friend Tyler Baker, and also as well, Ben Arnault is coming back from Smoking Hot Confessions to talk a little bit more about, oh my gosh, more barbecuing and what he likes on chicken and all that great stuff, because that was just awesome. But I think, it's making me so hungry now. I think I got to go raid the fridge. And I think also Rob McCallum's going to join in as well, as far as share his thoughts on the latest Cosmic Crossfire as well. So definitely looking forward to that indeed. So for Josh Peterson, this is one hungry Gerald Glassford, and it's another beautiful day in Paraguay. It's another beautiful day in paradise right here in the Pop Culture Cosmos. We thank you for listening. And also maybe grilling at the same time. And here's hoping you have yourself a great day.